Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another Use the Stuff video where MK and I are both trying to use up our, not use up, but use a lot of our embellishments out of our stash. And this is actually going to be the first embellishment I'm actually making this month that is not directly from stash, but I'm using a lot of papers from my scrap bin. I'm using some ribbon from my scraps of ribbon, and I am using some chipboard thickers, which I am so glad to get those out of my stash. It's going to be amazing because I actually never thought I would use this little girl gang saying, because my daughter was not the kind of daughter that had like a girl gang per se. She had a group that was boys and girls, and the little girl that I take care of, she has 3 little friends that she hangs out with all the time, and they're all girls. So I thought this would be a perfect place to use this particular saying. So I borrowed this heart die from MK while we were at a retreat, and I'm going to make a couple of shaker pockets out of it to make a butterfly. The reason I decided to make a butterfly is because one of the papers I'm using from, it's an old Paige Evans paper, has butterflies on it, and so I thought it was perfect. Now in the photo, the little girl I take care of is wearing like a teal blue dress. One of the girls is wearing purple, and so that is what kind of drew me to using these particular colors. So I'm starting out with this heart cut on this purple paper, and then I actually cut it a second time on white with foam, and that's going to allow me to put the foam underneath the heart. I know that sounded weird. So the heart die cut that I borrowed from MK is really narrow, and the foam that I have is not narrow enough to go on it by just placing it by hand, because it is super hard to get it on there. And so what I'm doing is I cut the heart out of the purple, and then I put some foam underneath a white piece of paper, and I cut the heart again, because if you just cut the foam without the white paper, it does not hold the heart shape. It's very wonky and hard to get placed. So by putting it on the white paper, it's going to hold its shape. And then I sandwiched a piece of acetate, or actually page protector, in between the 2 layers. So it's the purple heart out of the purple cardstock, the acetate, and then the cardstock with foam heart underneath. And that's going to give me a gap to put some sequins in. And I'm going to play around with that quite a bit, because I don't like the first my first pass at it, so I tear it all apart and restart. But I left it in there so you can see. Even though I've got a YouTube channel, I make layouts all the time, things do not always go the way I expect, and sometimes I have to tear it apart. So you're going to see that. Now I'm using some Catherine Pooler Serene colored ink, which is the same light purple as that background paper has in it. And I don't have a lot of this Paige Evans paper, so I did have to cut it and bridge the gap behind the photos. And same with this turquoise paper, and actually I'm not even really sure. I think it might be an Amy Tangerine paper, but I'm not 100% sure where that turquoisey teal paper came from. It's got rainbows on the back, so I'm pretty sure it is an Amy Tangerine paper. And then the photos that I'm working with are taken at the aquarium in Monterey. And I thought they were super cute photos of the 4 of them together hanging out, and it was a perfect way to go ahead and document the day that we spent together at the aquarium. I will have other photos for her album of her at the aquarium doing different things, but this was a great way to document just that the 4 girls were together. So I thought that was fun. That bottom photo is kind of cool. You can go in this tunnel, and the wave splashes over the top of the tunnel, and the wave is actually splashing down behind them, and they've got these awesome looks on their faces. So I definitely wanted to go ahead and capture that. So that's about where I'm planning to put my my butterfly. I'm just trying to figure out how I want it. So now I'm cutting a background paper to put behind the window so that the sequins show up. I don't necessarily want that pattern paper right behind with the sequins. You could totally do that. It's not a big problem or anything. But my pattern paper happened to be a little bit too busy for what I wanted. So I'm going to fill these pouches with sequins. So I don't end up liking the first go round. I have the turquoise little floral flower sequins that are at the top of the page there that I thought I would try and make kind of a pattern in the wings, and I didn't like the way that it turned out. I think I don't know. It just didn't work out the way I wanted. And so I'm much happier with it at the end, but I did leave this in there so you can kind of see what I did and where it all kind of went wrong. So I'm just adhering my wings where I want them, and then that will give me a place to go ahead and start building this pattern that I'm thinking I'm wanting. But like I said, it's all going to go a bit haywire. So I'm pretty sure it was because I was being too specific and trying to create like these lines across like a butterfly wing would have, and I just didn't like it. So if I would have probably put them a little more haphazard in the wings, it would have been fine. But by that time, I was kind of over it. And so I just started over instead of doing it the way that it is here. And I liked it much better at the end. So anyway, there's a bit of it. Not too happy with how it came out. I am placing a bunch of these purple sequins from Spiegel Mom scraps, and they are called lilac blooms. I've had them in my stash for quite some time, so I don't know that this is a mix that is even available anymore, but I do end up using that mix, and I really like the way that it turns out because that purple is just so pretty. It picks up the pinks and the purples that are kind of in that Paige Evans paper with the butterflies on it. I'm now cutting what I think is going to be a good body for the butterfly, and it does work out to be a good body, but I cut it down quite a bit because it's way too big. So I am going to cut it down quite a bit there. I'm just going to keep shaving more and more off. Even though I inked it up here, I end up cutting it down even more because it's just enormous. At this point, it kind of looks like a dragonfly. So I do really like this Girl Gang piece. I am trying to just figure out the placement of it because with it being over the top of the sequins and everything, I want to make sure that it's going to nestle nicely in there and not be like a big hot mess. So here's where I decided to peel everything apart. I'm still able to use those top pieces. I do have to redo the bottom pieces, which is not a big deal. It's just cutting a heart. I mean, it's not hard at all. And then I end up pulling off most of these turquoise ones, and I think I used them at the very end scattered around the layout instead of inside the wings of the butterfly. And that makes me so much happier, you guys. It ends up being a lot nicer than what I originally thought it was going to be. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and put a bunch inside this, or on this white paper. I'm going to glue down the heart piece and let it set up, and then I will cut the background away, or I'll cut the excess white away. And I didn't do that originally because I was trying to do a pattern inside the wing, and in this case I don't need a pattern inside the wing. So much happier with the way it looks there. I do decide I'm going to use a little bit of embroidery floss in this kind of dusty purple to create some antenna for the butterfly. So I'm just going to use my sewing needle, and I'm going to pull it through and create a little knot at the end where the antenna would be. And it looks super cute when it's done. At least I think it looks super cute, and I think that the little girl I take care of, she's going to love it. So she's really into the girly stuff right now, so I think she's going to think it's really cool having a shaker pocket on there and having a butterfly. So my little butterfly antenna are done. I just pulled the string through, knotted the end. I pulled it through the top and then back up through the bottom and created knots at either end, and put a little glue so it wouldn't slide around in there and have one antenna longer than the other. And then I'm putting a little bit of foam to support the head and the tail of the butterfly. I don't know. Is it a tail? I think it's a body. I don't know. But just to support that. And I think it looks really cute. You're not going to see a ton of the body once I get my chipboard thickers put down here. But I thought that the title was perfect because it's got the purple, but it's also got the turquoise that is surrounding the purple. I think it actually, the darkest part of the turquoise is actually a metallic finish on it. And so it's got a little bit of bling there too, or pizzazz. I am going to put a little butterfly in that little gap between the wing and the L and above the N, because it's kind of like a little dead space there, and I want to make sure that is covered nicely. I did go through my 2 bins of aqua ephemera. Now I do have 2 bins, but neither one are full. At one point I had so much that one was full, and so I started a second one, and I've used quite a bit of it, so neither one are full at this point. But just kind of randomly going through that and pulling out anything I think might work. I liked that piece that said the best day, but I do find a couple of other pieces that I think work better, so I pulled those out. And then I worked on creating a nice bow out of that piece of ribbon that I have, and it's kind of a soft purple, but it's got some of the green in it as well. And so I thought that was perfect also, and I'm going to use that. I'm not normally somebody who puts bows on my layouts, but I thought it would go really well on this very feminine layout, and I thought she would like it. So I'm going to go ahead and go with it. I'm being conscientious about not covering any parts of the photos where the girls are. The top left wing does cover a little bit of one of the girls' bodies, but it doesn't cover her face, doesn't cover her arm, and they are looking in a little area for tide pool creatures right there, and so it doesn't cover any of that. So just making sure that I place everything, because in a spot where it's not going to cover, because I do have some big embellishments on here. Now I did not like that there was a gap between the 2 G's, that the descenders on the word gang, and the piece that I'm tucking below that says have a beautiful day, or I don't know, a sunshiny day, or whatever it says there. I think sunshiny is what it says. My screen's a little bit small while I'm voicing this over, so I can't actually read it, and I don't have the layout in front of me, and it's been a little bit since I actually created it. So anyway, I tucked a piece of the kind of teal turquoisey paper, so it doesn't look like it's the same paper with a gap between the word and that other banner piece. It looks like it's intentional and it's supposed to be that way. Now I'm just trying to find a place to put this one that says enjoy every day, and I don't think that one actually makes the cut. I think I decided to leave it off, but I do end up using this one that says this is too cute. I thought that was a good one for this because the girls are adorable. And then I had this piece that's been in my stash for ages. It's like 2 banner pieces that kind of have a little bit of movement to them. Those are from Jelly Bean Soup, I believe. They're really old, but they're just they look like a solid color, and I knew I'd use them for something, so it's just going to be the background for that bow. And I had to cut the ends of the bow enough so that it doesn't hang down and block the other girls or the middle photo, their faces or anything. So I kind of cut down my bow to make it a bit smaller, and I think it looks fine. I am going to tuck in this piece that says this is too cute down at the bottom, and maybe I do end up using that enjoy every day right at the bottom. And so that's going to be my little tiny spot for journaling. It's not going to be a lot. I can also write, actually I probably just put the date down where it says enjoy every day in that little tiny white space, and then I'll probably just write directly on the layout. And this was the day that I took her to the aquarium with her friends, and so I'll probably go ahead and do a little bit of journaling rather than leaving it for her mom to do, since she wasn't at the aquarium that day with us. And I'll just write it right over the patterned paper below the part that says enjoy or have a sunshiny day. So just randomly placing some of these sequins. These are kind of cupped into little flowers, and so I'm kind of just placing them around the layout here and there to create a little bit of movement and add a little bit of extra color. And on that right hand side, I'm just placing them so they kind of look like they're floating up from the bottom. And then I'm using some more of that Serene ink to ink the outer edges. And that is it, you guys. Don't forget to go check out what MK has over on her channel for Use the Stuff. This is our last Sunday for Use the Stuff, and then we will be moving on into 31 days of cut files starting on the 1st. So come back tomorrow and I will have, is that tomorrow? Come back on the 31st and I will have a video on how to do stitching, because we have some stitching cut files coming up first. And if you're not sure about that, it would be a great place to start. And if you are not somebody who does cut files, you can still come back and check it out, because, you know, a lot of these layouts can be made without them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.